Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Showseph. As always, I am Joseph. This is my Showseph. I am once again coming and speaking to you about movies and about movie theater. This is such an important topic that I feel so necessary to frequently bring this up, despite the fact that most of a lot of the time I talk about this thing, these episodes don't get that many views, but that's okay because we don't do this for views. We do this for the art and for having a platform and having creativity. That's all that really matters, and that's what the point of this episode is about. Is about creating versus consuming. Everybody, I was the guy. I was going to the theaters all the time. At least once a week, I was going to a theater to see a movie, the new big Marvel movie, the new big A24 movie, the new big whatever the new big movie is at the time. Disney movie, Paramount movie. I was watching Netflix movies. I was watching Hulu movies. I was watching Discovery Channel movies. I was watching the Neon movies. I was watching the Nickelodeon movies. I was watching the Star Wars movies, the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. I was watching the movies that were the low budget movies. I was watching all the movies. Every movie you can think of, I would go and see it. And now I can't even think of the last time I went to the movie theater. I was trying to think earlier as a basis for this episode to see where I'm coming from. I genuinely could not think of the last movie I saw in a theater. And whether some people might say it's a good thing or a bad thing, I genuinely, my opinion has always remained the same around movie theaters. I think it's good and it's nice fun to go to a movie, see a movie in a theater. I think that's a preferred way to see it. I don't besmirch people for going to see a movie at a theater. If you are watching this video, chances are, we're putting our trust in the algorithm that you are the right person who should be receiving the message from this video. I'm not saying that everybody needs to stop going to the theater or everybody needs to be creating something. Speaking only to you, the guy who's watching this video, the person who, there's a reason you clicked on it, you have some interest in the thumbnail and the title intrigued you in some way, and you feel like you're going to get something out of this, so that's why you clicked on this video. The people who don't think like you, they're not watching this video, so this video isn't for them. This is only for you. Welcome. Let me leave a comment. Let me know your name so I can formally welcome you next time when you come back, because you will come back. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. This started back years ago. I came across this clip of Orson Welles. He's a renowned filmmaker, actor. He made Citizen Kane. He was in the Transformers animated movie. He is a big time Hollywood guy. Literally, he was a big, huge guy. And something he said that I found very interesting was that he doesn't watch film, he doesn't consume, because he doesn't want that to influence his creation and his art. And he found that a lot of times when directors, they pull from a lot of different films, then their films just become a combination of a lot of the things that they have been consuming, or whatever is in the zeitgeist. If there's a popular genre or style of film that's being made, a lot of the times you'll see directors kind of ripping off each other in a certain way, or stories being inspired by each other. And now it's kind of to the next level of that, because not only do we have movies and we have Netflix movies and Hulu movies, but we have YouTube, and then we have TikTok videos and Instagram videos, and there's so much more content and media now that if you are pulling from all of these different places, you're not really pulling from within. You're not pulling from, you don't have a taste anymore. You're pulling from things that either you think will perform well due to algorithms or due to what's popular, what is getting hits, or you're making things based off of the things that you are enjoying and trying to replicate, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If that's how you come up with your process. Obviously, everything is influenced by something else. You don't get into storytelling or creating without having some influence. Even like the the Renaissance, like the Renaissance paintings and the statues, they're all statues of guys who are already from stories that have been told for hundreds of thousands of years at that point. So those guys, they're still being influenced by something, but they're taking their own spin on it. And like I think they say there's only like 7 stories, and that every story is just a version of one of those stories. Like the Joseph Campbell thing. I don't know how necessarily true that is, because I think that there is the route you can go of a diverting story and making kind of a new route, but maybe, it'll fall within one of those 7 story archetypes. I don't know anything about that. But what I do know is that a lot of movies, and I'm sure there's a lot of great new movies coming out. Everybody's telling me about this obsession. Everybody's obsessed with this obsession. They keep telling me, you got to see this movie, and I'm sure it's great. I'm sure the guy who did it is great. He seems like a nice guy, whatever. But I think the lesson that people should be taking from something like that is that he is a guy who was able to create and went on to create something. And a lot of people, I've seen this a few times on Instagram. By the way, not only have I been trying to limit going to movies and watching any new media, I've been trying to limit, social media usage, because I think that can also cloud your taste and your vision of what type of content you want to make. Because if you're watching too many different people and you're being influenced too much, then it becomes you're trying to imitate too many things, and then you don't really have a thing that you're creating, because it's just you're pulling from. I watch the Matt and Shane Secret podcast, so I'm pulling from that, and I watch Joe Rogan, so I'm pulling from that, but I also watch The Daily Show, so I'm pulling from that, and I watch Subway Take, so I'm pulling from that, and then it's like you're not creating anything for yourself. You're creating something that's based on a bunch of different things, and it can become a mess, and it can become uninteresting, because you're just replicating things that other people are doing more successfully instead of creating your own thing. And you could say it's tougher to create your own thing, because it's the vast media landscape at this point is like there's so many different routes. There's so much being created on a daily, on like a minutely basis, that it's like, how do you get your thing to stand out? And especially, people are making AI things, people are making social media videos where they just film themselves. I see people on TikTok, they say they make a TikTok every time they open the app. They're making so much content, that so much like unnecessary content, that it's just to make content. You can even say this is unnecessary content just to make content, and that's fine. I don't care. But the thing is that when you think about art and creations, you are really creating something for yourself to create it. You're not creating it. People need to step away from this idea that art needs to be created to, make money, or to be kind of enjoyed by all, have the highest reach. Everything needs to get 10 million views. But really, art should be purely just to create something, not for the purpose of creating a brand or creating yourself. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. This isn't like a judgment thing. If this is like what you want to do, you figured out a way to like monetize your content, that's fine. I don't really care. But to me, and my understanding of art is that the creation of it itself is the purpose of it. You should just be creating just to create, and you shouldn't be pulling from influences of other. I want to be like Obsession. I want to make something like Obsession. You can look at something like Obsession. You can say, that's very cool that a thing like this was made. I want to also make a thing like this and have it, go on to be successful. That's fine. But the goal of anything would be creating anything is purely just to have it created. If the goal is to make yourself famous, and it's like you can follow the Mr. Beast formula or the whatever influencer formula, and you'll get there eventually. But if your goal is to just make art and create things, there is no formula around that. It's purely just what do you want to make, and then just make that as close to how you want to as possible, and then you're done. Make the next thing, whatever. So this has been. I hope this has been interesting, or you've taken something from this. I certainly have. I've certainly taken something from this conversation. Consume less media, create more media. Only if you're one of the people watching this. Don't go and tell your friends who aren't watching this to make them, because then you got to compete with them. Then it's like there's going to be too much of that, unnecessary media. I think just stick to doing it yourself. Find your niche, find your audience. Even if it's two people who consistently watch everything you do or you look at everything you make, then there you go. You're making art and people are viewing it. That's kind of all that matters. So I hope you do that. And if you want to send it to me, you can. Just make sure I'm in your target audience, because otherwise you're wasting a view on me, and that's not helping. So, yeah. Thanks for watching this. I'll see you next week. Big peace.